Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fairfield County SCORE's latest live webinar series for aspiring entrepreneurs. I'm Kathy Walsh, a business mentor here at Fairfield County SCORE, and I'll be your host. Our sponsor for today's event is Fairfield County Community Foundation. FCCF is a nonprofit organization based in Norwalk whose mission is to close the opportunity gap by eliminating income disparities in income, education, employment, housing, and health. Fairfield County SCORE is proud to partner with FCCF, and we thank them for their support of this webinar series. This series was designed to support women and minority-owned small businesses. This is the second of 7 webinars being done over the next few Wednesdays, each starting at noon. Today's webinar is entitled, Running a Successful Business, What Really Matters. Our speaker will be Belinda Sandor. More in Belinda in just a minute. First, let me share some brief information about SCORE. SCORE is funded by a grant from the Small Business Administration, so all of our services are completely free of charge. There are about 300 SCORE offices in the U.S. with over 10,000 volunteers. Fairfield County SCORE is one of the largest and highest rated chapters in the nation, with over 100 volunteers comprising a wide range of expertise. We offer 3 value-added services to small businesses, which are all accessible from our website at fairfieldcounty.score.org. First, we provide free one-on-one counseling through face-to-face meetings, telephone calls, email, and video conferencing. Second, we produce over 100 educational workshops and webinars each year on topics of relevance and importance to small businesses. And third, we have extensive resources and tools on our website, including templates to help you build your business plan. This is a special webinar event because there's an opportunity for participants to earn a grant at the conclusion of this series. We will be giving away $2,000 grants up to 10 contestants. Judging for the grant awards will be based on presentation of your business plan. Constructing a business plan can be a very difficult task, so we created a simple Q&A template called a business case analysis to help you figure out what to write. Forms and entrance criteria will be sent to all that register. If you need these sent again, let us know. Remember, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. SCORE mentors are available to help you complete these documents, and I encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity to collaborate with them. Ultimately, what the judges will be looking for is a synopsis of what I call your story. Tell us in the fewest possible words what is so great about you, your product or service, and your business. Essentially, this will be an executive summary of the business case analysis and financial projections, and will serve as the basis for your presentation. You'll have a limit of 1 page to tell your story, so make it good. Think of this as being like your elevator pitch. The files for this business case and financial projections will be emailed to you, and we'll talk more about the contest as we get closer to the end of the webinar series. So let's get started with today's event. If you have questions during the webinar, please use the chat box located in the lower part of your screen. To respect your time, our webinar will end promptly at 1 p.m. This session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be available at fairfieldcounty.score.org within the next couple of days. Now to our speaker. Belinda Sandor is the founder of the VA Connection, a professional online community with 22,000 members. The VA Connection helps established and aspiring virtual assistants start, grow, and scale their businesses using the skills that they already have. They do this through their online community courses and coaching program. Belinda, it's all yours.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. All right, let's go. All right, so I want to tell you a little bit of my backstory, okay? So after 17 years of corporate life, I went out on my own to start my own business. My daughter was about 3 months old. I'd just been laid off after 9/11 caused the company that I worked for to downsize. And I decided, this was back in the very early days of e-commerce, and I decided I wanted to open an online baby gift store. And I loved being an entrepreneur, but it was very stressful. And practically nothing that I brought over from corporate really translated to my small business. I didn't expect that either. In many ways, my business was a huge success. I had thousands of happy customers. I had, lots of beautiful products. I had press exposure. And from the outside, it looked like I was killing it, but I wasn't. I was stressed out, I was burned out, and I had gotten myself into a financial train wreck. So at the core of that was I didn't have the support that I needed, and I was trying to figure out everything on my own. Not a great idea. So then my life blew up and something had to change. So here I am 11 years ago, and my daughter was 9 years old. Her name is Emily. And she's about to turn 21 now. I can't believe it. And it was literally one of the lowest points in my life because I was a newly single mom. I'm getting divorced. I don't have a job. I'm trying to pull myself out of this business that is, crushing me. And I didn't have any prospects for a job in sight at all. The job market had changed dramatically in the 10 years that I was out on my own. And I had a ton of debt from the business, and we're going to talk about how to avoid that. But a ton of debt, and I was overwhelmed. I was uncertain, and my confidence was shattered, completely shattered. And I was just about to turn 50. So here I am, in a mess, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this? I don't want to get a job and earn $50,000 or $60,000 a year because that's not going to cut it. So what I decided to do was go back to what I had done in my 20s, which was, they called us back then a secretary. So I decided to do admin work, and I decided to do it for small business owners because I felt like even though my business failed financially, it succeeded in so many other ways. And a lot of that were the systems and the things and processes that I put in place to manage that number of orders coming through my business. So I decided to do this, and I knew at the core was letting everybody I knew know what I was up to. And we're going to talk about how to do that today. And we're going to talk about how critical your contacts are, and keeping your contacts in order is to the success of your business. So the first client that I got, I was at the school bus stop, and one of the dads said, what are you up to? And I said, oh, I just started this new business. And this look of relief came across his face because he was a brand new entrepreneur himself, and I had no idea. He said, let's talk. He hired me, he brought me in, and I helped him with his business doing the admin pieces. It was awesome. The next person that hired me, I met in the buffet line of a wedding. He and his wife were standing there, and he gave me his card. We were chit-chatting. I didn't have a card. I didn't have a website, just starting out, trying to figure it out. And I connected with him on LinkedIn. And just making that connection, he contacted me a few weeks later, and he asked me if I could help him with an event. And I said, yes. We still work together all these 11 years later on a weekly basis. So, the thing about all of this was that I did it scared. I did it afraid. I did it, all the emotions that you may be having as an entrepreneur, but really the key is to do it. Now, the work that I'm talking about is now called being a virtual assistant. I didn't know that at the time. I'm not even sure it was invented, but basically it's being an admin, but working virtually. And my clients are all over the country, just as many have learned to do during the pandemic, right? VAs, we were just ahead of the game in doing this. Now, my story is going to unfold more over our time together, but I want to just fast forward a minute. So now we're looking back at 11 years in business. I've worked with over 225 clients, and I've produced over $1 million in revenue in a corner of my house, in all those different places that I live, sitting in the actual chair that I'm sitting in right now. And so this is to tell you that, yes, there's a lot of work, but you can get from where I was to this spot. And here we are today. So this is my brand new family, Greg, my husband, and my 4 stepsons, and that's Emily sitting next to me. We got married last summer, and this is us on our wedding day. So a lot of things have changed. You know, my debt is under control, and it's more than under control. And I am not sort of living, you know, hand to mouth anymore. And it really was because I paid attention this next time to the things that were important in my business. And I got help that I needed. I listened to mentors and coaches, and I did the right work. Now, notice I didn't say do the hard work. I said do the right work, because there's a distinction, right? There's a very important distinction. It was still hard to do, but I was doing the things that were going to move the needle, right? Move the needle. So as Kathy mentioned, about 3 years ago, I started an organization, a community called the VA Connection. And I wanted to help others have a similar success path to mine. So at the VA Connection, we help established and aspiring virtual assistants create, grow, and scale their VA business using the skills they already have. And like she mentioned, we do this in our free online community, courses, and group coaching programs. And we have almost 23,000 members, and we're represented in 47 countries, and it's very, very exciting. By the way, if you have questions during any of the the session, please put them in the chat real time. You don't need to hold until the end, because I want to make sure that as I go through the presentation that it's clear and that you get your questions answered, okay? Okay, good. So I want to jump in now, and I wonder if you can let me know in the chat, how many of you feel like this, right? Like help, because it can be really overwhelming, right? So all small businesses want to grow so they can be successful. Unfortunately, too many business owners don't focus on the things that will get them there and waste time spinning their wheels, wasting precious time and money in the process. Let me just pull up the chat. Yes, hello, I feel like that. Help with social media. Okay, we're going to talk about social media too, and I think it's going to surprise you. All right. So in today's webinar, I'm going to give you the grounded and time-tested tips from moving from this helpless or place of struggle to success. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. All right, now there are some key areas business owners need to focus on to be successful. The first is you need a steady stream of clients or customers, right? Without clients and customers, it's you alone, you know, looking at your computer, okay? You also need the right systems and technology to support your efforts. And we're going to talk about that. The third is you need to handle your finances. And as I mentioned, this is where I had a huge failure. And then the fourth is leverage. You need to get help leveraging your time in order to grow your business beyond what you're capable of doing. That is really important, and we're going to spend some time on that as well. All right, so tell me in the chat, how many of you know what shiny object syndrome is? Okay, so shiny object syndrome can kill your business. It can absolutely kill your business. It's when you continue to focus on the next new thing and the next new thing. And frankly, we do this because it's easier and more fun to do that than focusing on the thing that we really need to do. Okay. And sometimes we do this because we're scared. We're really scared. So we spend a lot of time looking at our competition and trying to keep up. But let me tell you this, I don't believe that there actually is competition. All right, that there is actually, what will actually get you where you want to go is to create a plan, prioritize the steps, create measurable goals, and keep your head down. If you just, and you know, jot this down, there is no competition, because that's something that late at night when you can't sleep and you get up and you get on your computer, or, you know, whenever you start to panic about your business, you'll start doing that. I did that when I had my online store, and the woman who I was looking at and drooling over is still in business and I'm not. And that's because she was focusing on her business and I was focusing on her. So don't do that, okay? Because I'll tell you what, here's the deal. We can't afford it. We can't afford it. It will cause 100% will cause struggle, heartbreak, and failure, 100%. Okay, so don't do this. And we all are, it's natural because it feels good, but I want you to really try to stay focused. So I'm just gonna look in the chat. Okay, awesome. All right, let's keep going. All right, So when you have a focus plan and you work that plan, something great happens. You start to get confidence. You start to get traction, and there's no way around this. There's no way around. It's just through. You have to go through. Owning a successful business it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's doing the things that work over and over and over. Consistency is really important. But confidence helps. It goes a long way, especially with imposter syndrome and the shiny object syndrome. All right. So your most valuable asset, we're going to talk about the first one, is your contact list. It's not your inventory. It's not your product. It's not your idea. It's your contact list. And most people don't understand this. Most businesses don't understand this, and it's causing a lot of struggle. So let's talk about where people look for clients. So people ask me this all the time, where do you get your clients? The truth is my clients come to me, and I'm going to explain how, but they come to me. All right. So most people go to networking events and they collect business cards and they do nothing with them. Right. They never use them. So tell me, how many of you do this? How many of you have gone to networking events? You put on your pretty clothes or whatever you were doing, you get in the car, you get on Zoom, you go to a networking event, you collect contact information, and then you put it in like a wrapper rubber band around it and put it in the drawer. So yep, I do. Yep. I see you guys in the chat. Yeah, right. So that is just such a waste, right? So let me talk to you about what people do. All right. So they go networking, they cold call, they look on social media. Some people buy names, they buy contacts, they prospect, they try to figure out who the exact right client is and, try to go get them. They sell and they advertise. Right. So what they do, though, is they overlook the thing that's right in front of them, the people that they already know. Okay, so the question is, how are you staying in front of the people that you already know? Connecting with them. Okay, this is really critically important. And we're going to go into why, and I'm going to show you what you do once you do. But for now, what I want you to do is I want you to invest a big chunk of time. This is not 5 minutes. This is not an afternoon. This might be a couple of days. And I want you to get all your contacts together. I want you to put them in a spreadsheet to start. And I want you to connect with all the people that you know on LinkedIn and all the people on Facebook. I want you to go through your emails, capture email addresses, go through those business cards, connect with those people on LinkedIn, put that information to work for you. Okay. All right, so let's look at this statement as we dive into why this is important and what we're going to do. This is a statement from a colleague of mine, Michael Katz. All right, so here's what this says. Stay in touch with the people you know over and over again and position yourself as a likable expert. Okay, and what this is going to do, it's going to build a referral machine. And it doesn't matter what your business is. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to give you an example in a minute that I think you're going to be able to relate to, so you can put yourself in that example, because a lot of people think, oh, this is not going to work for me. Actually, I'm going to tell you the example right now. Okay, so imagine two people are in a coffee shop, and one of the people says, do you have a dentist that you like? And they say yes or no. And if they say yes, people can't help but want to help other people, right? So do you have a dentist? Yes, I have a dentist. His name, and he's right here, and here's his number. Let me get it on my phone for you. And it goes for all businesses. So someone might say, my tooth hurts. Do you have a dentist? They might say, I just moved here. Do you have a dentist? Or a tree guy, or a therapist, or a, nail place, or a virtual assistant. Right? So that's how that works. So you want to make sure that people understand the work that you do simply and clearly, and then you want to stay in touch with them. So when I talk about the people I mean your cousins, your college roommate, even if they're not in the area. And I'm going to show you some stories in a few minutes about unlikely people who have hired and paid me a lot of money, and I'm going to talk about their paths. Okay. So when I say the people I mean also people you like. I don't mean the people you're going to invite to your wedding. I just mean people that you like. It could be a mom from ballet. It could be a dad from softball, people that you know. And then what you need to do is create a systematic way to keep in touch with them. And there's many ways to do that. And I'm going to give you some examples of a couple. And then what you want to do is position yourself as a likable expert. Okay. So someone who knows what they're talking about, right? No matter what your business is, it's very straightforward to do this. It's not always easy to learn how, but it's worth it. Okay. So how do you do this? All right. Email newsletters are absolutely a secret weapon for business owners. Most business owners are not doing them, and the ones that are mostly are not doing them in a way that's beneficial to them. In a newsletter, what you want to do is you want to provide valuable information that shows off your expertise. No selling, no advertising, just valuable information. So let me give you an example, okay? Let's say I'm a tree maintenance, I offer tree maintenance, okay? So my newsletter might be about 3 ways to save a dying tree, or when is the best time to prune a tree, or how to grow a new tree from a clip-in. You know, you want to give as much information away as possible to establish your expertise. Now, someone who's going to be a do-it-yourselfer is going to be a do-it-yourselfer. So don't worry about it. You know, maybe they'll refer you to someone who's not a do-it-yourselfer, but the rest of us will see you as an expert and hire you for exactly the expertise that you're showcasing. So tell me in the chat, can you see that? You know, so here I see someone says, I'm a psychotherapist. It's a little different for me. You could write about 3 ways to calm anxiety. Everybody's anxious, right? You could write about the importance of, you know, if you're into meditation, you know, you could write about 5 things to do to support better mental health, you know? So I think that, that this, it's possible for everyone, but we have to walk through this isn't going to work for me thing. Okay. Which can be an issue. All right. So let's keep going. All right. Now I want to talk about, so let me go back. So so the person who said they're a psychotherapist, my response was in reference to how I obtain clients. Well, you know what? I have to say someone close to me in my life came to me recently and said, I want to see a therapist, and doesn't know anyone. And it's a young woman. So I started asking family members. I started asking friends I trust. And I got references, you know, referrals, and then I checked them out. And that's how the newsletter is going to work. It really will work if you're a nutritionist, if you're a physician, no matter what, you know, what area you're in, staying in front of people over and over will establish you. Okay, good. Got it. Good. Oh, I'm a nutritionist. Yeah, I have a client, very successful nutritionist. She's brought on 3 other people to help her, and she writes a newsletter, and that's how she stays in. That's how she stays in touch. All right. So thank you for the comments. Keep them coming. All right. So I want to talk about social media because there's some confusion. All right. Social media is not going to get you a steady stream of clients. Posting inspirational quotes is not going to grow your business. Social media is passive. Okay. It's passive. And I want you to jot that down, because what's going to happen is all these people on the internet are going to tell you, you've got to be on social media. You've got to be on social media. You can be on social media. Being on social media won't hurt you, but it's not going to be the thing that like totally moves the needle. Okay. Building a business requires you to lean in and build relationships. And that's why I love newsletters, because done well, they're informative, relatable, and they're personal. All right. People hire people. Okay. Now think about this. How many of you sit on the couch at night and do the scroll, right? Or in the grocery store or at a traffic light? I don't think when people see you in the scroll, they're like, oh, you know, let's hire her. I think staying in front of people is important. I think you can absolutely be on social media. I am all over social media, but it takes more than that. And I have heard so many people really disappointed, and it surprises me so much. They'll say, I don't have any clients. I'm all over social media. I don't know why. Okay. Number 1, the post is all about why we should hire them. It's all about them. The newsletter is a great thing to put on your website and then push people to with your social media. So it could be, you know, 3 ways to save your dying tree, right? And then link them to your website so that they can read more. That's what makes good social media, something that's valuable and not all about how I can save, as a virtual assistant, how I can save you time. My posts are never about that. They're really about how to keep your inbox cleaned out, right? Because that's what people, they want to know that much more than, how many of us love when we get, that, not to beat up on real estate agents, but they send you that random postcard. Like, that is such a waste of time. What would be better is to have a tea party in their office and invite everybody with that postcard and have people come in and make relationships, right? Much better use of your time. Okay. Now I want to talk about linking out for a second. Okay. Now, social media posting is great, the way that I'm talking about, but there's something that one of my friends calls linking out, and that's going to LinkedIn and look for your contacts. And when they post something, you can say, like, thanks for posting another great article, or love what what you're saying, or so you're saying what you would say to them if you ran into them in the hall at work. Someone said, yeah, hey, I got a new client. You're like, way to go. And I did this one time, and my phone rang immediately. It was a little scary how fast it rang. And because he remembered, oh, Belinda helps people with their businesses, and he was starting a new business. And that year he paid me $15,000 to help him get to the next place with his work. So it wasn't by me saying, hire me, I'm so great. It was by me congratulating him on his new business. All right. Building relationships. All right. Now, I want you to stay in touch with people who are current and past clients. All right. This is also neglected a lot. I see it from the people that I'm a customer of. They assume that they're top of mind just because I bought from them in the past. That's not true. That is not true. So create a way of staying in touch with your current and past clients. It's like low hanging fruit. It's just right there. It could be your newsletter, and it could be that you reach out to them every 4 months with I call it a keep in touch email, just saying, hey, how's it going? How's the car driving? Or, did you put the deck on the back of the house? Nothing salesy, but you have your email signature with your business at the bottom, but you're just checking in, building on your relationships. Okay. All right. Now I want to talk about some unlikely people who've hired me when I did these things that I'm talking about right now. The first woman in the upper left was my neighbor. She hired me to do her newsletter. The middle woman on the top, she lives in Texas, and she hired me because she got on my newsletter list because her sister was a client. Okay. The woman in the top right, when I had my online gift store, I used to buy product from her. There's no way in the business that she had with those products she was ever going to hire me, but I stayed in touch with her. And she sold that business and started 2 others, and she's brought me on for both. Okay. The woman in the lower left, she hired me because I went on what's called an informational interview. If you don't know about informational interviews and you're just starting your business, you can go to, I should have thought about the link before, but you can go to the vaconnection.com and go to the blog, not now, later, and type in informational, and you'll see a step-by-step how to use informational interviews to grow your business. So I had an informational interview with her, and she hired me. She's still my client. She left for a while and came back because I stayed in touch with her. The guy in the middle, his name is Bob, and I was on a project, and there was a web developer, and I really liked him. So I said, let's just talk and see if we can ever collaborate, bring each other in on projects. And it turned out that we really couldn't. Our work was too similar. But 2 years later, because I kept in touch with him, he emailed me and said, I have a client. He wants to do a newsletter. I don't want to do that. Do you want to do it? This is my biggest client, and has been for about 5 years. And the relationship is about between $17,000 and $22,000 a year, right? Because I kept in touch with the guy who lives in the middle of the country. I don't even know what state he lives in, but he sends me holiday cards and I send him my newsletter. And then this woman on the lower right, she hired me. I met her husband at a party. And we started talking and realized that I used to work at the same company as his wife. He told me his wife's name, which is a different last name than his. And I said, oh yeah, I remember her. I was in a meeting or something with her once, and he mentioned it to her, and she hired me, and she's still a client all these years later. So you never know. I never would have suspected that these are the people that are going to hire me. So stop prospecting and just spread the word. Okay. All right. Any comments or questions about that? Let's pause for a second. And I want to just say that when you stay in touch with people that you know, and collect more along the way, you're playing to win. You're playing to win, because this is the long game. This is the long game. This is not, like go out there and do a bunch of stuff on Monday, and then on Tuesday you do nothing. This is an every single day kind of situation where you're spreading the word. Okay. And yes, you need to do good work. You need to provide good service, but this is what will keep it going. Okay. All right. Let's see if we have anything in the comments or chat. Okay. Let's keep going then. Okay. Now, tools. Tools are important. Tools are very important. I remember my father told me a long time ago, he said, buy the tools you need when you need them, and then use it, right? Don't go to the tool store and buy all these super cool things and then wait for a time that you're going to need it. And I'm going to suggest that you do the same thing. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics about tools because all of you guys are in different businesses and you have different needs. But what I am going to say is that I strongly recommend that you don't invest in tools because they're a good deal. There's something that a lot of entrepreneurs know about. It's called AppSumo. And I've only been on there once, but it's this place where you can get lifetime access to this thing for half price. And people are sucked into that like a vacuum, and you don't want to do that. I've talked to so many of my students and clients who are like, I have lifetime access to this and to this and to this. And they've spent, hundreds or thousands of dollars on things that they don't need. So please don't do that. What I want you to do is start with the free version of what you need, right? Be clear about why you need the tool or software, and then invest at the level that you need. All right, so I just want to say that again. Okay, so start with the free version. Be clear what problem the tool is solving, because the tools are here to help you. They're here to support you. You don't need tools because they're cool. You need them because they're going to help your business. All right. Now, what happens here? You probably all know about something called imposter syndrome, right? Imposter syndrome is when we don't feel good enough, we're not confident, and sometimes we hide behind these tools because instead of getting out there and getting in business for real by doing the hard work, we set up all these big systems that we think that we need. When I started my business as a virtual assistant, I had some paper, a pen, laptop, and a phone. And then as the notebooks that I had for each client, I outgrew them, I got the free version of a tool. And then I looked into the paid one, right? And it happened over time. So you just want to be really careful about, diving in over your heads, investing a lot of money before you need to. All right. That's a big trap that people get into. And it's something that stops them because, they think they need all this stuff, and you really don't. All right. Now, one thing that you do need, no matter what business you're in, is you need a professional email address. So my email address is belinda@thevaconnection.com. It is not the vaconnection.com, the vaconnection@hotmail.com or gmail.com or AOL.com. So if that's you, I want you to invest in having a professional email address. Nothing tells people that you're not really in business, or that you're not in business for real, that this is some kind of hobby or thing you're trying out, than your email address. You also need a website. It does not have to be super fancy, but you need to lean into that as your business starts. I did not have one at first because I really needed to get in there and start hustling and make some money. But that is the first thing that I focused on, and I focused solely on that. Not 20 million things, but I focused on my website until it was done and getting my contacts in one place. Okay. The other thing that you need is a way to manage your work. And what I mean by that is paper, pen, a spreadsheet, Post-its, however you want to do it, but it has to be a foolproof system so that things don't fall through the cracks. All right, any questions about tools? If you want to ask me about a specific tool, oh, all right. So Tim says, that means a domain name. So someone probably asked, what, all right, let's go back. So the VA connection is the address of my website. That's called a URL, Universal Resource Locator. Yes, I pulled that out of somewhere, or it's called a domain. Right. So when you go to Amazon.com, Amazon is the domain. And so what I want you to do is I want you to register the name of your business.com or whatever's appropriate. And then what I want you to do is get a professional email address. Generally, it's paid. You can either get a paid Gmail account so that your email is belinda@thevaconnection.com or your name at your company.com. Or you can get 365, which is a Microsoft product. Both easy to do. You might need to reach out for help, but if you can call or chat with like GoDaddy or HostGator, which are the places where you can buy these things and where you can set up your email, okay? All right, let me just think if there's anything else to say about that. I don't think so, but ask anything you don't understand. You know, if I start pulling jargon out, let me know, okay? Because that happens to all of us. Okay, so technology. All right. Okay. Now I want to talk to you about handling your money, okay, and your finances. You absolutely must understand where your money's going, all of it. This is not comfortable, right? Because when we're first starting out, I know for me, you know, my budget was my credit card limit. Not a good idea. And I didn't pay attention to it. And I knew enough that I should have been doing that, you know, but for whatever reason, I was so busy working hard and just thinking the harder I work, you know, it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off because I'm putting all this time in. I'm putting all this effort in. I'm investing like crazy. It's going to pay off. You know, and it also in a service industry, I know someone said to me recently, she said, I know I've only been in business for 6 months. It's going to pick up. And you know what I said to her as gently as I could? It's not, because she's just doing the same things over and over, right? She's not looking at her numbers. She's not keeping in touch with people. She's not putting out a newsletter. She hasn't announced her business. She's sitting at home thinking that telling 5 people she's in business is going to do it. It's not, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, I want you to know where the money's coming from. I want you to know what you're spending it on. And you can do this in a couple of different ways, okay? You can go all out and you can get something like QuickBooks, or you can get Wave, which is a financial, it's like QuickBooks, only it's free. A lot of my students use that. They really like it. And you can put all of your expenses in and all of the money that comes in. All right. And that way you can see really clearly what's happening. The thing that's great about putting your expenses into some kind of financial management tool is that you have to look at them, right? Because you're either going to reconcile your checking account and look at where everything goes, or at a minimum, what I want you to do is print your statement and take your finger and go all the way down it. And it's really important because this is what a lot of us do. And was guilty of this. You look at it on your phone and you're like, okay, I know what's going on. I know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. You have no idea what's going on. I had 3 accounts at one place, at one software service, because I wasn't paying attention. Because I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah, I have that. And I didn't notice that 5 days later or 10 days later, it was there again. So not a big deal, $5 each account, $15. How long did I not know that? I didn't know it until I started reconciling my checkbook. So I want you to take care of that. If you can't do it yourself, which is fine, get a bookkeeper, okay? Get a bookkeeper. All right, so just remember, you can't do this on your phone. So let's talk about financial checkpoints, okay? The first thing, you need to open a business bank account, all right? You need to keep your money separate. So how this works is I put all the money that comes in from my clients in my business bank account. I account for it in my financial software, and then I just move money into my personal account as I need it, right? That's how that works. It doesn't have to be complicated, but I track the money that goes out because I want to know how much I've taken out of the business, okay? It's almost as simple as just categorizing. The next thing like I said, you want to review your bank statements, like seriously review them. And I want you to know what every expense is for, and don't make it up, because I did this last year. I had something that was, it was some Amazon service, and I thought it was a Kindle. And so I went to cancel it because I wasn't using it. It turned out it was some $3 piece of software that I had to get in order to download my financial transactions from my bank to Quicken. And I didn't know that. You need to know that. Okay. So now I know what everything is. If I'm not sure about something, I write it down on my to-do list so I can, follow up with it if I can't do it that red hot minute. But I want you to know what every expense is for. And I don't want you to pay for things you're not using. We talked about this when we talked about tools a minute ago, but I have seen so many people say, yeah, I'm going to move into that software. Yeah, I'm going to use that software. And they're paying $30, $40, $50 a month for this thing that's going to happen in the future. So don't do that. Okay. And I want you to create revenue projections. I definitely want you to create revenue projections. And what I mean by that is I have a spreadsheet, and here's what it does. It tracks all the money that's coming in. And then I created a formula so that I can see how much money comes in each month. And then what it does is it adds it all up, and it gives me the average month so far for the year. And then that average month is multiplied by 12, and I get to see what the big number is, right? So that way I can say, if I keep doing what I'm doing now, and I'm bringing in X number of dollars on average a month, this is the bottom line. Because a lot of business owners don't look at that, and they just really put their head down and they don't pay attention to the numbers. And then, it's like, oh, wow, I made, $50,000 and I spent 47. That's not good, So absolutely create revenue projections. All right. So any questions before we go to the next topic, which is leverage and delegating? Okay, good. This can be a very difficult topic, and we often struggle with it. And there are a lot of traps set to sabotage us if we don't know how to do this properly. So what I'm talking about here is getting help. All right, that can be in the form of a coach, a mentor. It could be a graphics person, a website developer. It could be a virtual assistant. It could be a lot of different people. All right, so these are people that you can give work to. So it's actually not a coach or a mentor. It's someone that you bring on to help with the work. Okay. So the first trap of delegating is that we think just because we can, we should. I shouldn't hire someone to do that. I can do it. I'm really not making that much money, so I should just do that. And people come up to me also all the time, and they say, I tried that. I tried that. It didn't work. I tried to work with a virtual assistant. I tried to work with a bookkeeper. I tried to work with a graphics person, but it just didn't work out. So now I just do it myself. This is better that way. And my questions for any of you who have had that experience is, there are many. One is, how did you track the work, right? How did you track the work that you gave them? How often did you communicate with them? How did you set deadlines and expectations? Like, what did that relationship look like? So I'd love to hear in the comments, have you guys ever tried to delegate? Have you been in a situation where you've delegated and it's either gone well or not? So there's a lot of you here. So let me know, what your experience is. Now, I can't afford it is a big one, right? What comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? And I happen to have 12 chickens in my backyard, so I know all about chickens and eggs. But the thing is that I hear people say, I'll get help when I make more money. And I think, well, how are you going to make more money if you don't get help? And I know in my business, the VA connection, I definitely had to get help. So Tamira says, no, I have not been able to find anyone that can assist me with my goals. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about how you do that, okay? So what I did when I started the VA connection was I brought on a virtual assistant. And I afford is an interesting thing. I was willing to keep my expenses low. I was willing to, in order to invest in my business, because I knew that I was just going to stay stuck. I'd already done this, like been there, done that. I was going to stay stuck in the hard work and no benefit if I tried to do it alone. And so let's talk a little bit about the trade-off, okay? So likely the person that you're delegating to will be able to do the task much faster than you. And there's a couple of reasons. One, hopefully they're just doing one thing at a time. And as an entrepreneur, we tend to do 50 things at a time, right? So everything takes longer. Everything takes longer. You're freed up to do the client work and you're billing at a different rate. So let's say, we have a psychotherapist here. So I don't have any idea how much psychotherapists make an hour, but let's say the fee for psychotherapy is $175 an hour, okay, or $250, I don't know. And so now you have someone following up for you, doing the billing, setting the appointments, all of these things like that. And you are in the other room with your patients, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So it's important to look at, and even if you're doing the other work like at night or in between sessions, is that wiping you out? Is that totally wiping you out? That's the question as well. Now, the other thing is that when I brought on help, I was able to free my mind and innovate. So instead of, it's very different headspace. When you're constantly thinking about what do you have to do next? What do you have to do next? What do you have to do next? It's hard to say, oh, I have this great idea, and then decide how to execute on it. And this weekend was a good example for me because, I have one woman who's working 40 hours for me. I have another who's working 30, and I have another who's working about 15 hours a month. And they're keeping everything going. So so this weekend, they're keeping it all going. I have this great idea how I can, grow the community, how I can offer something new to them that will really benefit them. So I'm in that place. I'm not worried about, all the things that they're doing. And we're going to talk a little bit more about specifically how to delegate. All right. Because there's a very specific way. So what's happening is my business is growing. My community, before I brought on the virtual assistants that are helping me, was right around 1,000 people. Now it's going to hit 23,000 people. It could be this week. We're very close. And because I'm focusing on that and my relationships and communicating and writing newsletters and being on social media and the ideas and not doing the execution, all of this stuff is able to happen. All right. Yeah, good, Denise, good. She says those fees are accurate. And yes, right. All right, let me look some more at the chat. I run an individual, I need help, as well as a group practice. We have hired a VA for group practice who also provides billing services. That's great, right? Okay, so I want to talk about what you can delegate, okay? So absolutely repetitive tasks, all right? And what I mean by that, well, I'm sure you all know, things that happen over and over and over, okay? The other things are specialty tasks, technical, graphical administration. So I do not create graphics. I am not good at it, and I need help. Because what happens is if I try to create a graphic, I spend an hour doing it, I'm not billable, I'm not serving my community, and I also don't feel good because I'm not good at it. So I struggle, I question myself, when really what I should be doing is figuring out what new product or service or that I can provide to my community and get my guy Mark to handle it. Because Mark will do it for a fraction of the time, a fraction of the real cost of me doing it, which is much higher than his rate. And it's beautiful, right? And it took me a long time to really surrender to that, because, for example, technical work, I can do it, I can figure it out. But again, what's the cost? What's the cost if I spend all day trying to figure out how to get my SSL certificate done versus giving Barry, an hour's worth of work at $120 an hour? Significant. Really, I held on tight for a long time. Now, here's an example of tasks that no longer add value. All right. So here's an example. I have a live show. on social media, on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter every week. I have 2 of them actually. And one of them is on Friday at noon, and it's called Lessons from the Cockpit. So here's what happens. I sit down and turn on the camera. I have my presentation ready and I start. Ahead of time, my VAs have set up the live stream. They've created the events and Facebook and LinkedIn and all the places. They have written up the description of the talk for me to look at. And then I show up, and it gives you this feeling that you're like a rock star, right, in your own business. And then what happens is I say, thanks, everybody. Great to be with you. Click the stop button. And then I go to the kitchen and I get a cup of tea. What they do is they download, they upload, they send the replay, they send the link, they do all the things. And because we have an established process, I no longer add value. Now, I created the process, and you can work with VAs who will help you, establish the process with you if you need that help. And a lot of people do, that's no big deal. But you want to establish the process, right? And delegate things where you no longer add value. I know how to download a Zoom. I know how to set up an event. I no longer need to do it. And you know what I got back? Saturday morning, because that's when I was doing it. Saturday morning, I would spend over an hour creating all these events and doing all this stuff. And I just thought, what am I doing? What am I doing? Okay. So is that resonating with you guys out there? You really want to look at the value of your time and your energy and use it the best way you can. All right, so let's talk about how to delegate, because this is a biggie, okay? Really a biggie. I want you to go into this saying to yourself, I am a terrible delegator, because 99% of people who delegate are terrible. So just raise your hand, admit that it's true so that you can fix it. Okay, so that you can fix it. Because if you just go in like, oh, I got this, you probably don't. All right. So the first thing is you want to sit. There's a question. Hold on. All right, hold on. Thank you, Kathy. In terms of hiring one's first VA, how often can one expect to give them nudges and show them how we want the jobs done? If we are extremely quality focused, we may need them to up their game in different ways and consider more factors with each try. So this is what concerns me as someone with perfectionistic standards. I am a control freak and I am a perfectionist. Okay. And so let's go through this, and then I'm going to talk about this. Okay. So, great question. Perfect timing. All right. So the first thing that you want to do is set clear responsibility, meaning I'm doing this, you're doing that. Okay. Hold on. Clear steps. First, you're going to create the event. Here's how you do this. You're going to use this graphic. Here's how you update it. All the steps very clearly spelled out, not just like, can you handle that? Right? I've been working with my team for 3 years. I don't just say, can you handle that? I'm very clear. We're going to talk about communication. Share the why. The reason you want to share the why, 2 reasons. One, because these are people, they're not robots, right? And they're not just here to to just, like I said, robotically do the things that you say. If you tell them the why, they can add value. They can absolutely add value. Determine the deadlines ahead of time. Okay, determine the deadlines so that everybody's clear. Everybody's clear. I have one client, she says, no rush. She means tomorrow is good. I have another client that's like, next month, I don't care. Set a deadline. All right. Be sure you have the right person for the job. Okay, you want to be sure you have the right person for the job. Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. Now, the way that I delegate with my team, there's a couple of ways. One way is video. I create a lot of videos for them. So for example, I had this big idea of something I wanted to do on Friday, and I get on Loom, Loom. It's free. It's an extension for your browser. I definitely Chrome, maybe others, I'm not sure. And what I do is I say, hi team, this is what I want us to work on next. I'm going to have an event on Friday. It's going to be at 3 o'clock. I want you to please set up an event on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. The graphic that you need is located in this folder, boom, boom, boom. I go through the whole thing. That's how they learned to upload, download, and do all the things with Zoom, because I did that. And the thing is, when I make that video, I think to myself, you are the smartest person on the planet, because this is the last time you're ever going to have to do this. Because if they leave, you can give that video to the next person, right? So I created a whole training library, okay? All right, so you definitely want to think about that. And then one last thing is that we have a document. It's a Google Doc, and every day they put the date and what they accomplished. And then every day when I have tasks for them, I clearly explain them in that document, and it's a conversation. Because the point I want to make with this slide is it's a relationship, right? They're not your worker bee. It's a relationship. I meet with my team every week for a half an hour to see their faces, to ask them how their kids are. You know, I don't like small talk. I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm creating a relationship. So you want to really train them, communicate with them. And when something goes wrong, look at the system. Look at the system first, okay? All right, so I'm going to wrap up because I want to make sure that that we have time for questions. So these are the things that we talked about. So a steady stream of clients, technology to support you, handling your finances, and leveraging your business. Okay. All right, so let's open it up for questions. Here's where you can find me, Belinda at the VA Connection. And I wanted to let you know I'm having a free training on getting a steady stream of clients starting in June. And if you want more info, you can go here at the vachallenge.info. All right, we do have some questions. Yay. Let me bring them front and center. Okay. All right, so the anonymous attendee who had the first question about being perfectionistic, if I didn't answer that, please let me know. But basically, it's communicate, 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 relationship, 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 okay? Do many virtual assistants do things like searching different phases in Google to find competitors, competing offers, industry-related information to build out our list for us, or is that something close to nobody wants to do? How much can one expect to pay per hour for a VA to build these lists? And how do we assess if they are using all the time we're paying them to do the tasks that we're asking them to do? In this case, research and build spreadsheets. Well, I really want to, you have to trust them. You have to build systems in, you have to build communication in, and you have, it's a relationship. So I know roughly 23,000 VAs. Most of them are not trying to rip you off. You know, they're really not. So, you know, keep that in mind. A VA, it's all over the map. You can hire a VA for $25 or $30 an hour. When I was a full-time VA, I made $90 or $100 an hour. It's really, it's all over the map. And you can, you know, so just be sure that that you have a level of trust with the person that you hire. You know, you really, you get to know them. All right. And people will absolutely build your list for you. Absolutely. Yeah, they will do that.
Okay, Belinda.
Yes.
Thank you so much. This is Kathy again. That was absolutely amazing. We could go for another hour easily. I can see that you're full of information. You've put on the screen your contact information. So if anybody would like to get in touch with Belinda, please, here it is right here. I think we've run out of time just about. So if you don't mind, there was one question that somebody had asked, how do they register for the contest? What we're going to be doing is we're going to be sending out to you the business plan form and all the information. If you've registered for this webinar, you will be receiving it directly from SCORE. Okay, so what I'd like to, another compliment, Belinda.
Oh,
great session.
Thank you. A lot of fun.
And I agree. It was an amazing, you know, I've been in business for a long time, and so many of the things that you went over are things that I need to also refocus myself on. And I think it's just an ongoing good habit that you have, and you have to recognize that you have to keep these good habits up. Another one. Oh my God. Great job.
Thank you.
You're amazing. Thank you. Okay, so for our next webinar in this series, we'll be talking about marketing the successful small business. Please be sure to join us next Wednesday, May 25th. The name of the webinar is Launch Your Own Unforgettable Brand. Please remember, SCORE offers free individual mentoring, so please use the link on the screen or visit our website and click Request a Mentor. Okay, I'm just looking also if there's any questions, we'll try to answer those. Okay, also, if you want more information about other SCORE webinars and workshops, please visit the calendar on our website at fairfieldcounty.score.org. You'll also receive an evaluation of today's webinar. We'd appreciate if you would fill it out. There you go. And send it back. Tell us what you liked or didn't like so we can improve the program in the future. Belinda, I think you're just going to be 5-star all the way around. Okay, in closing, a big thank you to Belinda Sandor for presenting today and our sponsor, the Fairfield County Community Foundation. So thank you again, and please be in touch with all of us.